that Kiwi businesses make. And we have a marketing expert with us today, Teresa Ma'aelopa from Max Marketing, who is a marketing strategist. Welcome, Teresa.
It's great to be here.
I hear this is your first live stream, is it?
It sure is.
You're not nervous at all?
Oh, yeah, of course not. You can't see that in me at all, can you? No.
This is a live stream, and I do this for business owners to help them find their voice, to deliver their expertise, to deliver their value. We go live on my channels as well as their own. So if you're watching this, you could be watching this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook groups, and LinkedIn. So and then we do the live stream on everybody's channels, and then I provide some cut downs of the live stream interview to be reshared to Teresa's social media channels. If that is something that interests you, of having your voice being heard through these live streams, and it's kind of smart marketing, isn't it, Teresa? You know, only have to do one piece of content.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the reason why I'm so interested in this, because you can actually use it time and time again and get your point across, obviously not just in an auditory sense, but also visually. So it gives people something to watch as well.
100%. If that's something that interests you and you're watching this, send me a DM. But let's get into the 5 biggest marketing mistakes in Kiwi businesses. Before we do that, if you have any questions for Teresa, our marketing strategist expert today, wherever you're watching this live stream, just in the comment section, just put your question, and Teresa will endeavor to get back to you to answer that for you. The 5 biggest marketing mistakes that Kiwi business owners are making. What are those 5, Teresa?
Yeah, I see them quite regularly. The first of them is not actually setting objectives, therefore we don't know what you want to achieve. And trying to be everything to everyone is the second. And trying to be everywhere is the third. And the fourth is the DIY marketing, whether you can actually do it yourself or get somebody else to do it. And then the last is actually measuring the effectiveness of your marketing.
So those 5: not setting objectives, trying to be everything to everyone, trying to be everywhere, DIY marketing, and measurement. Let's dive into number 1, not setting objectives. What are you seeing out there for business owners with not setting objectives?
So objectives are obviously so important to actually make sure that you know what it is that you want to achieve, and making sure that you're targeted in your approach, that you're focused on what it is that you're trying to do. And if you're all of those things and you have that objective, it helps you to actually understand what the message is, what audience you want to talk to, and what call to action you want to actually put on the end of it. You know, an example I could give you really around setting objectives, I guess, is let's consider a hardware product. And you may be selling it through a retail outlet, or you may be selling it direct. You may have a target audience that's DIYers or even the large construction companies. And so when you look at what it is, you might want to increase, say, awareness of the product with your DIYers. And so by having an objective of that type, what you're doing is setting yourself up to go, what channel would I actually be looking at? The best channel probably for that would be Facebook. Then if we have a look at the LinkedIn side of things, you may actually use that channel to actually build a connection and a relationship with, say, construction companies or procurement managers at large construction companies. So by setting up the objectives, you actually help yourself to really set down the best way to go about what you're doing in order to achieve them.
So literally having, I mean, you know, you hear a lot of business coaches kind of saying, okay, well, you need to have a, you know, what's the business plan? And well, I've got a 1-page plan. You've got to have a 1-page marketing plan, right? And that is setting those objectives.
really, when it comes down to objectives, every piece of activity that you actually do should have its own objective. I talked about the differences in the objectives between Facebook and LinkedIn. If we also consider, perhaps across those channels, you might also want to do different products and services. Your messaging will be different. Again, your call to actions will be different. So things like if you wanted to develop leads, then your call to action would be to inquire now, or to complete a form, or to register now. Whereas if you wanted to say your objective is something like you wanted to educate your customers or become known as the experts in the market, then your call to action would actually possibly be to visit your blog for them to read more.
Got it. And then hopefully on the blog, there's a call to action on somewhere, a nice big button on your website that says, download the 5 magic, that gets you into an email list. Yeah, look, I think it's, I see a lot of people not having those objectives. I mean, I ask, obviously being an end marketer, the person who is, getting people being seen, I've got to ask all of those questions. I say, what are your objectives? And there's, oh, well, and that's why I send so many referrals to Teresa Ma'aelopa. Let's dive into number 2, trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah, I hear a lot from business owners that they don't want to cut out a potential market. And so they try to be everything to everybody. They actually try to make their message quite generic. And what that really achieves is it makes the message quite vague. So, we in marketing, we call this segmentation. What we do is we actually separate out a customer, or your customer groups, by their needs, and actually make it much easier for you to know what is the need of this group and how do we target that, and then what's the need of this group and how do we target that. I often use gyms as an example here on what it is that, or how do we make this work. So if you were trying to be everything to everybody, you might have a message that says something like, oh, come visit us, work out, we've got open 24/7, we have the best and latest equipment, but it's quite vague. Whereas if you segmented out your market there's probably 2 really obvious markets. One is the people that want to get fit. And so for those people, you'd probably say something like, do you want to get fit? Do you want to feel better about yourself? Do you want to be more active and enjoy your life more by being more active? And so connecting with those needs of that specific group means that you're much more relevant to them and they're more likely to engage. You then follow up with the other information that we put in the earlier example, and that's, we're open 24/7 for your convenience, but it's all talking around their needs. And then on the other side, another audience for that gym might be people who want to lose weight. And so that message could be something like, want to shed those kilos so that you can have that summer beach bod, that kind of message that actually resonates with people at this time of the year and will really connect and be relevant to that specific group. You could talk to them about confidence, creating confidence and being able to strut their stuff kind of thing over summer. And so that's how you become much more relevant. You can see that it's much more connecting for people than the original generic answer that I gave. Often, if you're trying to be everything to everybody, you can end up being nothing to nobody. That's the biggest problem.
100%. I was talking to a business owner probably late last year, and I said to him, who are, if they were like a B2B, who is your market? And they said, we want to talk to SMEs. And I was like, oh, really? What, all SMEs? They say, yep, all SMEs. And I said, you do realize that's 98% of the market. Yep. And it's you listen to that and go, can you go and please see your marketing strategist? Can you go and find out and do you have any more segmentations under that SMEs? Oh no, it's just SMEs. We just want to talk to anyone. And please don't do that. Go and talk to Teresa. I love this one. Trying to be everywhere is number 3.
Yeah, trying to be everywhere. New Zealand businesses have limited resources. Well, probably businesses all around the world have limited resources, and it's just not possible to do everything. One of the common things that I hear from clients and business owners, and when I ask them actually, why are you on Facebook predominantly, they actually answer because that's where everyone is. And of course, that's not really the right reason to be on a channel. The right reason to be on the channel is that that's where your customer is. So that means that you'll be able to connect with them in a place that they are visiting, or something that they're really engaging with on a regular basis. So it's all about knowing that customer and knowing how and where they are going to be, so that you can actually connect your message into them, and doing that on a case-by-case basis across your segments, so that your number one priority, general rules, let's say for the channels across social media. Facebook is a great B2C channel. What that means is individuals out there as consumers will be on that channel. So if that's your audience, that might be a great location for you. Instagram is amazing for visual representation. So it can be really fantastic for industries like interior design, fashion, beauty, where there's such a big visual element to what they sell. And then LinkedIn is very much B2B. So if your customer is a business, then perhaps LinkedIn might be the best place for you. Those, of course, are real generalizations. So I wouldn't say take that and run with it. There's a lot of other factors involved as well, but those are sort of general rules that we apply to the channels, the social media channels anyway.
Yeah, look, I couldn't agree with you more. As a DIY marketer, although I have some social media content being delivered by other people, but for the most part, I chose LinkedIn and LinkedIn only, and because I knew that, well, who wants to look at this ugly mug on Instagram, right? So, and I knew that obviously I was a B2B, and LinkedIn was the channel, and in 2018 I went really hard with video, and that's kind of, people on LinkedIn know me for being the LinkedIn video guy. And that's great. You do look over and go, well, all these people on Instagram going, oh my God, I should be over there. But, actually, I just did a podcast last week with Lauren Lotzi on the show, The Wolf of Queen Street, very good podcast. And he wanted to share some little cut downs on Instagram. And he said, I'm going to set you up as a collaborator. And I was like, what's a collaborator? It literally, so you'll get an alert, and then, it said, please accept. And I tried to accept and nothing happened. And then I realized I turned off all of my notifications about 3 years ago on Instagram, because I'm only on LinkedIn. So anyway, whether that is derived by some marketing strategy, but it seems to have worked for me. Number 4 is my favorite, DIY marketing. What do you say about DIY marketing? Yeah,
DIY marketing can work for some people. I won't say it doesn't work for everybody. The thing is marketing is a skill set, no different than if you got a plumber in to do your plumbing, or a builder in to do your building, or an electrician in to do your electrical work. And so therefore, not everybody is actually has the right skill set to be able to do it. We all know that Kiwis love DIY. I've got my own example recently where I had a go at some plumbing at my house, and It's fair to say that my husband didn't really enjoy having to ring the plumber to get him in to come and undo everything that I'd tried to do and fix it. But like DIY, that's who we are. It's only when we have epic fails that often we admit that we don't have that skill set. But I actually encourage all business owners to consider whether they have a marketing skill set. And it is different from running a business. Marketing is quite a different mindset from the mindset of running a business. And so if you don't have that skill set, consider outsourcing it. There's lots of different skills that are actually needed to be able to achieve marketing and achieve results from marketing. If we think about Google Ads and Facebook, it's all about knowing the algorithms and knowing what these big companies are doing. And those things can change almost on a daily basis. So that technical knowledge is really, really important. But then you also look at the other side of social media, and that's copywriting. And so being able to write copy fluently is a completely different skill from being able to actually, do the technical side of marketing. And so sometimes you may even need multiple agencies, multiple people to help you actually to across your entire strategy. But it's all about making sure that you're achieving the results.
100%. And I'm glad you've defined that, having the skill set. And I see lots of people who really shouldn't be doing marketing, and they should get someone else to do it for them, because it's affecting their perceived brand out in the marketplace, right?
And brand is such a big thing. It's having the personality and being able to portray that in writing, and and things like video, it's so much easier. But being able to achieve all of that in writing is just something that's more challenging. And so when it comes to those sorts of skill sets, if you can't do it, if you're struggling, I often say to people, have a go, let's have a look. There is coaching that you can do. If you really want to keep going, you can do coaching around these sorts of things. But just trying to jump in and not having that direction, not knowing what it is that you're going to be doing, and not having the skill set actually often leads to no results. And that's often when I hear people say marketing doesn't work.
We are talking about the 5 biggest marketing mistakes in Kiwi businesses. We've already ticked off 4 of those, and being not setting objectives, trying to be everything to everyone, trying to be everywhere, and DIY marketing. If you have a question about any of those, we haven't had any questions yet. So if you have a question and you're live and you're watching this live, put a question in, maybe an example that you're faced with, and what if you'd like Teresa to answer that today. But the 5th one is probably, and I would probably say for me, it's the most important, because if it's measurement, right? And anyway, you're the strategist. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, it's probably measurement is probably the one area that people actually tend to do the least. And it's because they'll move on to the next activity and forget to look back at what it is that they actually did achieve. And again, it's a big reason why an objective is important, because whatever you're measuring, you need to measure against whatever it is you wanted to achieve. But going back and actually looking at the measurement, whatever that would look like for you, actually tells you what's working and what's not working. And obviously we want to do a lot more of what's working and a lot less of what's not working. So it goes without saying, we need to know that in order to do more of it, or less of it in that case. Also on the other side, also on the other side of that is that when let's say you have outsourced some of your work to an agency, you really need to know, or be measuring out of that. I regularly see people who are paying a monthly fee to probably predominantly digital agencies, and they get a monthly report each from the digital agency each month, but they never look at it. And that way they don't know what they're achieving. They're not asking for better results. They're not asking, how could we be doing things better to get better results? Those are always so important to make sure that you're continuing to move forward and continuing to grow.
Can you give us an example of good measurement versus bad measurement? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I guess the typical things that people often look at is what we call vanity metrics. It's things like the number of visitors to the website. It's things like the number of, like, your reach on Facebook, when actually what we want to be looking at is something that is more what we call conversion statistics. So it would be things like how many inquiries have actually come through your website, who's clicking on a form to fill in, who's liking your or engaging with your posts on social media. Those things that actually mean results rather than a vanity metrics, which is just how many people are visiting your site, because you don't even know if they are actually the right customer for you if they're just visiting your website.
100% on the vanity metrics. And I have to say, I'm probably guilty, Teresa, of looking at those vanity metrics and going, oh my God, it's just feeding the ego, when in fact, admittedly, I think from a LinkedIn standpoint, I've had quite an engaged audience. I look at those comments and I've taken that next. I've been very vigilant in replying to those comments and then connecting with those people and then meeting them in real life, right? That's kind of the value of social media. And yeah, so look, get those measurements in place and making sure that you are that what's working and what you're paying to get working is in fact working. Have a question for you from Vaughan Ribbett, and Vaughan is asking the question, what is the best approach if you have a limited budget? Good old limited budget problem. For instance, he's been working on a landing page to collect email addresses. Any short example there for Vaughan?
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult to put a single answer on that, because it does depend on the business and again depend on what your objective is. So everything revolves around your goals and your objectives for your business. And obviously, when we look at what we can do these days around digital, with it being pretty cost effective because it's cost per click, as opposed to a mass market hit and miss approach, and the fact that you can really easily measure that, and again you can make sure that you're then repeating what is working really well. Digital does tend to be probably more of a go-to for people with a limited budget, and collecting email addresses, I say fantastic, because you can get out there and do email marketing and actually make sure that you're owning that relationship, which you don't always get through things like social media. You don't own that person's details. So having a database where you can communicate with them directly is a fantastic way to go.
And my 2 cents worth, have a lead magnet on your website that actually, don't say, please subscribe to our newsletter, is actually on the front page, download this. And it doesn't need to be extravagant, and it just gets people to click the link, click on the page, and then you've got some email sequences and things. I love that stuff, Teresa. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, so lead magnets can be really, really effective because people don't like to give their email addresses out these days without getting some value in return. It is considered, people are quite protective of their detail. And so actually making sure you're providing them value will actually give them a reason to provide you with that. So, a lead magnet, which could be tips and tricks, or what's the latest information. I've just done one recently for a financial advisor who, it was around for first home buyers, and it's all around, how do they actually go through and what do they need to do to become approved for a mortgage. So that kind of information is invaluable to people who are going through things for the first time, as an example, the first time buyers.
But thank you for your question, Vaughan. I see you have a few more questions there. Teresa will find you. She will find you. She has a particular set of skills, and she will find you, and she will get back to answer a few of your other questions there. We have run out of time. It's we could talk for hours on marketing, couldn't we?
Absolutely, I love it. I love it. It's
I was going to ask, what's as a cheeky one, what your number 6 mistake would be, but you can ask that of Teresa. If you want to get in touch with Teresa, send her a DM, drop her an email, connect with her LinkedIn, Facebook, or any of those social media channels. But it's been a pleasure having you on your show, your first live stream. How have you think you've gone?
I hope I've done all right. I feel like I've got all the information and my point across. So hopefully everyone finds it valuable, but would love some feedback.
100%. She wants to know, she wants to apply those measurement things to know whether or not this whether the live stream does in fact work. Thank you for your time. And we'll see you on Friday.